People versus Reafor, GR number 247575. This is a landmark case on plea bargaining agreement promulgated by the Supreme Court last November 16, 2020. The respondent, Edwin Reafor, was charged before the RTC of the crime of illegal sale of dangerous drugs for allegedly selling 2 heat-sealed transparent sachets containing shabu. During the presentation of the prosecution's evidence, respondent filed a motion to plea bargain, contending that as per Administrative Matter number 18-03-16-SC, he may be allowed to plead guilty to a lesser offense of violation of Section 12, Article 2 of RA 9165. The prosecution opposed the motion, invoking DOJ Circular number 27, which provides that for the crime charged against respondent, the acceptable plea bargain is for violation of Section 11, Paragraph 3, Article 2 of RA 9165. The RTC granted respondent's motion over the opposition of the prosecution. It opined that since it is only the Supreme Court that has the power to promulgate rules of procedure, thus, Administrative Matter number 18-03-16-SC prevails over the said DOJ circular. Thereafter, respondent was rearraigned and pled guilty to a violation of Section 12, Article 2 of RA 9165 over the objection of the prosecution and was subsequently convicted. Aggrieved, the state, through the Office of the Solicitor General, filed a petition for certiorari before the Court of Appeals, assailing the RTC orders granting respondent's motion to plea bargain and allowing respondent to plead guilty to a violation of Section 12, Article 2 of RA 9165. The OSG argues that the RTC gravely abused its discretion in allowing respondent to undergo plea bargaining without the consent of the prosecution. Now, the issue is whether or not the lower court committed a grave abuse of discretion in allowing the respondent to plead guilty to a lesser offense over the opposition of the prosecution. According to the Supreme Court, the RTC gravely abused its discretion in granting respondent's motion to plea bargain, notwithstanding the prosecution's opposition to the same, which is grounded on DOJ Circular number 27. Plea bargaining in criminal cases is a process whereby the accused and the prosecution work out a mutually satisfactory disposition of the case subject to court approval. Essentially, it is a give-and-take negotiation wherein both the prosecution and the defense make concessions in order to avoid potential losses. The basic requisites of plea bargaining are 1. Consent of the offended party. 2. Consent of the prosecutor. 3. Plea of guilty to a lesser offense which is necessarily included in the offense charged. And 4. Approval of the court. Under the present rules, the acceptance of an offer to plead guilty is not a demandable right, but depends on the consent of the offended party and the prosecutor, which is a condition precedent to a valid plea of guilty to a lesser offense that is necessarily included in the offense charged. The reason for this is that the prosecutor has full control of the prosecution of criminal actions. His duty is to always prosecute the proper offense, not any lesser or graver one, based on what the evidence on hand can sustain. In this case, respondent's plea of guilty to a lesser offense to which he was convicted of was made without the consent of the prosecution. Since respondent's plea of guilt and subsequent conviction for a lesser offense clearly lack one of the requisites of a valid plea bargain, the plea bargaining is void. Resultantly, the judgment rendered by the RTC, which was based on a void plea bargaining, is also void ab initio and cannot be considered to have attained finality for the simple reason that a void judgment has no legality from its inception.